Hello, German students. This is a screencast to review how to conjugate the perfekt, which is the conversational past tense. This is the past tense form which is used most often in German and most often in speaking, and therefore is the most important one to learn and the one we learn first because we need it so often. And even if you have learned it a little bit already, you need to keep adding more verb participles to your repertoire until you can use this tense comfortably on a variety of topics. And once you are able to do that with consistency, then you are nearing the advanced level of proficiency on the actual scale. So here we go. If you want to write a sentence in the perfekt, in green, you first need to have a subject, and then the first part of this verb conjugation is the helping verb, the Hilfsverb, and most of the time it is a form of the verb haben, and then you have the rest of your sentence, and then the last element of the sentence is always the past participle, the g word, as it would be. And with regular weak verbs, the ending is always t, and with most verbs you have the g on the front of that past participle. Notice that the helping verb is conjugated to match the subject, but the past participle is not. There is only one past participle form for each verb. So this is an example of a sentence with haben and a regular verb form. Now, there are lots of irregular verb forms as well. That would look like this. Ich habe einen Fußball gefunden. This is an irregular verb past participle, and the irregular ones don't have a T ending and therefore are not predictable and need to be memorized. So part of working with the perfekt is just memorizing the irregular verb forms and also learning whether new verbs you learn are regular or irregular and which way they would then be conjugated. This is an example of a haben verb. We're going to move on to a sein verb, so I'll change colors quickly. Now, sein verbs don't occur as often, but there happen to be some very common verbs that are sein verbs, and therefore you see this a lot. With the sein verb, you've got the subject, but instead of haben as the helping verb, as here, you have the verb sein or to be, which is the helping verb, conjugated once again for the subject. Then you have the rest of your sentence, and you have the past participle as usual on the end. And here you can see gefahren is an irregular verb because it has an en ending and needed to be memorized, not predictable. There are also some other tricks to this. There's the verbs that are called, I call them the b, g, ver, zer, ent verbs, and with these verbs, the trick is there is no g at the beginning. Here's an example. Ich habe meine Tante besucht. Okay, it's not gebesucht, it's just besucht. And that is the past participle for the verb besuchen. And because it starts with one of these prefixes, you don't put a g at the beginning of the past participle. And one other group of exceptions are the verbs that end in ieren in the infinitive. So for instance, reservieren, telefonieren. These ones also don't get a g. So you would say, hat ein Zimmer reserviert. Reserviert is the past participle of reservieren. We can see it's a regular verb because it ends in T in the past participle, but it has no G because it ends in ieren. And these are the two exceptions for putting a G on the beginning of the past participle. I'll give you one more example in another color. So if you want to say, we spoke German, you would say, wir haben Deutsch gesprochen. Sprechen is an irregular verb, and this is the past participle. And if you didn't know that, you have to look it up in a dictionary or in the back of your textbook on the list of irregular verb forms. And if you don't find a verb on one of those lists, then you can assume that it's regular, and you know what to do with those. They will end in T and have the G on the front of them. And now all you need to do is practice and memorize some irregular past participle forms. And there are 4 sets of those verbs on Quizlet. And we learn the perfect every year because we need to just keep adding to our repertoire and also increasing our accuracy. For instance, if you have ever written a sentence or said a sentence and said gefahrt, that is incorrect. And you don't want to keep repeating that mistake because it will start to sound right to you. You need to make sure that you are using the past participle gefahren, because that is the correct one for that verb. So I hope this screencast helped, and good luck speaking and writing in the past tense.